Hi, everybody. Welcome to the MVP, episode number 5. I'm here with Randy.
Hello.
Welcome, Randy. I'm Andrew. We're your host for the MVP, and we're excited to talk about a new topic that we've just been discussing recently with regards to strategic alliances, right? We've noticed a big uptick in strategic alliances. I think it's born a little bit from the economy of how people are trying to leverage with other companies their core capabilities.
It's a great strategy.
It is. I mean, we did that with about a year ago, a little over a year ago with AdTech 2, veteransmetal and AdTech 2 did a street alliance. And what did we do? Well, they didn't do anodizing, and we don't do painting or masking, and they do.
Well, they do nickel also, and
Yeah,
some
they
other
do.
services that we don't.
Exactly, and we get calls about that from our customers.
Correct.
So we ended up doing a strategic alliance with them where we're selling things that we don't do, but they do, and vice versa. And the great thing is they're only 100 feet from us next door.
Yes. And we're still communicating with our customers.
Yes.
They're providing the service that they need.
Yeah, the upside for our strategic alliance was that it's a one-stop shop, right? So when they call and ask for services that we don't provide, but our partner does, we call them, we get the quote for them, we do all the invoicing, pickup and deliveries in one spot for our customer, and the same for AdTech and reverse for anodizing. And that's worked out really well. We've been growing our revenue. They've been growing theirs as well. We're still growing. And the customer likes the convenience of only having to deal with one supplier. So there's a great example of a strategic alliance, two companies that are essentially in the same vertical, metal finishing like we are, but we're complementing each other.
Different services, and yes.
Exactly. So one of the things that we noticed, Randy, was there was a great article that was in Fast Company, and what I really loved about it, they talked about the benefits of the partnership, and I can relate to all these with us and AdTech. Accelerated innovation. They have a lot of expertise in their core areas like the painting and the masking, and then we have our expertise in anodizing, and so we complement each other. So the innovation has been accelerated as a result of that, and they're bringing us very interesting parts, and we're giving them very interesting parts. So they've had to innovate, looking new methods of masking.
Correct. We both learned.
Yes. And then we've also learned how to do different kinds of parts, different kind of material types. Some parts even had 2 types of anodize. Remember we had that one that was type 2 and type 3 on the one part? That was crazy. And so that's been a great opportunity for us.
Even the process itself, we've explained how the process could be better.
Yes.
And they've helped us with the masking and other things.
Yeah, we definitely have learned off of each other big time. Access to new markets, and that's a given. They have partnerships with they have a lot of customers that we didn't have, and vice versa. And because that is giving them a new opportunity to new markets. Risk mitigation. Now, because we don't have to invest or focus on masking or even painting, it's a risk we don't take. This is not an area we're an expert in. It's not our core competency. Right. Yes. And then the other 2 topics about benefits was operational efficiency. Again, no capital investment and setting up new equipment or adding new people or more footprint to our facility. And we're very competitive because
they're right next door.
They're right next door. So we act like one many times.
Correct.
And when we're trying to quote or sell something, a customer may ask for anodized, we do, but then they also ask, or chem film, and they ask for painting. Say, hey, we know of company. It's our partner, AdTech.
And a lot of times there's a pre-treatment with the painting.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
We can help them out. And
so those benefits are good. What other, you've been also looking at other examples of strategic alliances, right?
Yeah, so a great one is everyone's familiar with Apple.
Yes.
So Apple teamed up with Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company.
Yeah.
And they help, so Apple's able to develop with them different semiconductors and different chips for their products.
Yeah.
And it's done a lot for them. I came up with, I think there was about 15 different advantages. I came up with 10 that I thought were the best that I read. So advanced chip technologies. Yeah. Apple is always innovative. They try to make things smaller and design. That whole thing, they work with them on the chips to make sure that they can get the product where they want it to be.
Okay.
So that also will be a cost savings. So they do all their chips with them. I think they can lower the price by having such amount of chips that they do.
Because of the volume.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. Mm-hmm. So quality and consistency. They're going through one supplier. Definitely help them out. Innovation and improved product development. So that goes with what I was just saying before. Supply chain efficiency. That's a big one. So you're only dealing with one company, going to the same place definitely helps. risk mitigation that you explained, customizing and flexibility, competitive advantage. So most people may not be familiar with Taiwan's semiconductor manufacturing company,
Right.
but everyone knows Apple.
Yeah, they do.
So now you have Apple with you teaming up.
Right.
Definitely could help your business. Long-term cost stability.
Right.
So everything would become more stable, I would assume, because they're using the same company and maybe they can work it out.
Right.
Like that. Improve communication and trust, manage reputation and the company's image. Like I said, everyone knows Apple.
That's true.
So now Apple is saying, I'm working with this company. People might take interest and say, who's this other company they're working with?
Right. That's true. And you know what? There are probably other areas that they can leverage Apple from when it comes to, let's say, legal or compliance things that Apple's already well versed in. They have a huge arm that just focuses on that and nothing else. Sure. And then risk mitigation. The other thing is, just like we have a governance process at our smaller scale between us and AdTech, but I'm sure that at a larger scale like Apple, they must have a very strong governance process to make sure that they have that repeatability. So. You just wouldn't be in a partnership with somebody unless there was some sort of structure in place to make sure you have that repeatability.
Especially with such a large corporation.
Yeah. So there are so many pluses in having strategic alliances. We've really benefited from AdTech. I know AdTech has benefited from us as well, and we've both grown as a result of that. But that's one example. There's a bunch of examples, not just in the same vertical, but let's say a small company or even a big company, they manufacture something, but they don't want to set up a whole sales team. Well, there are a lot of technical sales companies out there. That's all they do is they provide technical sales services, and for a company, so you don't have to stand up a whole sales team.
Right, and then you can talk to your vision. Basically, you can bring it to them.
Yes.
And then they can come up with a plan or some type of custom equipment, something that you can use for what you want to achieve.
Right, and I'm a big supporter of working with technical sales teams, not just sales team, but technical people that provide consulting services in that particular space that we're trying to achieve, and that understand the technology. I mean, we understand our own technology, but using somebody who provides technical, consultative, and sales services, you get the best of both worlds at that point.
Yeah, and it's not just during the sales portion.
Yeah.
So afterwards, I've contacted them several times. They help me with other problems and questions that I have.
Yeah, another thing is logistics. We don't own a truck. Owning a truck means insurance, maintenance, more employees, risk and everything else. We actually use a third-party courier that handles our shipping and receiving for us, and that has worked really well. It's very cost effective because insurance alone is just astronomically expensive.
Right.
And then if you want to buy a box truck, for example, you have to then worry about the maintenance of that. I mean, there's the option of leasing. It's all a full service leasing, but you still have to deal with the insurance, right?
That's probably going to cost you more.
It costs you more. So having the courier service, they have all the insurance already built in, and it's we're using them for offering new services to our customer and pickup and delivery. But then we don't incur the cost of having to do the capital investment of hiring a driver, buying a box truck, getting the insurance. They already have all that stuff, and the economy of scale is for us because they have other customers, not just us. So that's another example of a strategic alliance using a courier service. We're going to be jumping into our interview today with a company I'll talk about in a minute. But like we always do, and we didn't do it in the start, we're going to do our traditional beer. Now, because of the 4th of July happening, we have this beer by Armed Forces Brewing Company. A couple of 2.5 years ago, veteransmetal actually bought shares in this company. And we'll put the link and we'll provide it all out there. They mostly hire veterans. I think 70% workforce is veterans. They're very focused on paying tribute to the military forces out there. This one's called Preamble, and we're going to try that out and see what that's like. Ooh. And then use my Die-Hard glass here, big red one, where my son's at. He's active duty Army. And so we're going to put this in here and give this a try, Randy. They have different beers, right? So this is the Preamble. They have something called Special Hops instead of Special Ops. They have one called Grunt, tribute to the Army. And I can't remember what their Navy one is called, but
I'm kind of curious.
We're going to bring, in the next 3 podcasts, we're going to try one of each in the future. And so we'll get it. But let's
away.
It could be anchors away. I'm not sure. Cheers. Let's give this a shot.
Cheers.
All right. Well, that's pretty good.
It's good.
I
Easy
like
to drink.
it. Yeah, easy to drink. All right. Now we're going to transition to our interview portion of the podcast. Our guest is Mike Bangasser. He is the president and owner of Best Technology. We know him and Mark Battles, who also works in the company, because we implemented a fully automated stainless steel passivate system, and it was built by ESMA, but the technical sales arm and consultative services came from Best Technology.
I still talk to Mark today about different problems.
Yeah, absolutely. He's always very wise, and when we have a situation, his advice, and he knows it right away. And that's the great thing about having a partner like that. So yeah, we bought services from them, but they're still a partner of us, and they're helping us and guiding us when we have questions. So which I love a company like that. Right. They're not just trying to sell me something; they're actually giving me advice, right? Correct, and so we're going to be talking to Mike here in just a minute. So we'll transition, and we'll see you in a minute. Welcome to our next section of our podcast. This is the interview portion. Today's guest is Mike Bangasser from Best Technologies. He's the president and owner of Best Technologies. And like the examples we were talking about earlier in our podcast, strategic alliances come in many shapes and forms. In this particular case, I've asked Mike to join us for a couple of reasons. One, we bought our stainless steel passivate system through Best Technologies, and they're a sales arm, a technical sales, and I should really emphasize that. I said that before. They're a technical sales arm, not just a sales arm. They understand the technology, and they understand what we're dealing with. And we bought our passivate system through Best Technologies that was built by a company called ESMA. And this is a great example of a strategic alliance from a sales capacity. Unlike our strategic alliances that we have with AdTech 2, and just tee it up, Mike, here a little bit, we have an alliance with another shop right next door that does all our painting, all our masking, and then they refer to us for anodizing. So we have a wonderful partnership, and they're literally 50 yards from us. So it works out really well. Well, with that, let me hand it over to Mike. Mike, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So tell us a little bit about the role of a strategic alliance that Best Technology plays. Is it just with ESMA, or is it with other companies? Tell us a little bit about what it means to be a strategic partner in the sales capacity.
Yeah, Best Technology has been around for about 30 years now, and specifically in the metal finishing area and industry. And as the internet's grown over the years, we really have positioned ourselves as subject matter experts in all things metal finishing. And with that, there's a lot of good manufacturers of equipment out there for processing, but there really isn't a one-stop shop to come to for, like you said, passivate. Well, in your application, an ESMA system fit well. But in other applications, we have other custom stuff made by a whole bunch of different manufacturers, and we're able to integrate those together. And with that, we're able to have, like you say, a strategic alliance. Frankly, I look at the strategic alliances more with our customers too, because everything is built to your needs. It's not that a passivation system or any metal finish system can fit a specific application. We really want to fit the equipment to the application rather than the application fit to a stock piece of equipment.
That totally makes sense. I mean, we were talking earlier about some of the things to consider in a partnership, and one that you alluded to is complementary expertise, right? So we're not really experts in your case, you helped us put together a fully automated passivate system. And in the case of your relationship between ESMA, they don't have to stand up an entire sales organization. And you guys fit that role for them, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So a number of different manufacturers out there, we suit as their, I guess you could call it, strategic sales arm. I really look at ourselves as technical experts.
Yes.
And that we do sell equipment, but first and foremost, we want to educate our customer, and through that education, we can find out the application that they have to custom fit something for them. Than just go to an ESMA or something like that. There could be, different applications for different products.
Yeah, and what I view it is, because I don't have a sales department, right? And so I look to others to help us sell what we have. There's a lot of access to new markets that we wouldn't otherwise have. And I'm assuming ESMA is an example. I'm not aware of other companies you're dealing with, because I know you guys do other things as well.
you help them open up these markets, right?
Correct. Yeah, there's a lot of different applications that we find needs for that people approach us on that are, not the plain vanilla metal finishing applications. So as advancements have come around in citric acid passivation, um, uh, um, different types of chromate conversion, and such, we really look at what are our customers asking for and then build something around that. So on ESMA's end, they actually started in the dental industry,
Really? I
and
didn't know that.
yeah, so they did a lot of electropolishing of dentures. And the ultrasonic cleaning came as a, I wouldn't say afterthought, but as a byproduct from the ultrason or from the electropolishing. And
Wow.
so they're actually they're biggest in the dental supply industry. And partnering with ESMA since about 2005, we really found, hey, the passivation goes beyond just cleaning. And a lot of our customers, they used to just clean, but to value add for a shop like yours, if you just offer cleaning, anyone can do that. But who can offer a value add of a post machining operation that can truly meet customer specifications in their drawings? And that's really where this fully automated system kind of came about.
That's fascinating. That exactly fits one of the other things we spoke about earlier in the benefits of partnership is accelerated innovation, right? You guys getting involved brought that innovation, that pool of expertise that they may not have had, and now you introduced a whole new pipeline that they didn't otherwise have before.
Correct. Yeah, it really complements a lot of the different types that we do, because we also get into plating. I know you guys are doing some plating there, some anodizing. Um, and 9 times out of 10, most machining operations, which is probably where most of your product come from, is post machining. They
Right.
need to be passivated for medical device, aerospace type stuff. So it's kind of like the first process that we see companies bring in house, and then they're looking at electropolishing and chromate conversion and so on and so forth. So with ESMA's product itself, in passivation, they do some smaller electropolishing and cleaning. It really fits a good sector of the offering that we have.
Is there other partnerships that you'd like to talk to us about that you're doing? I mean, I'm only aware of the ESMA one. Is there other areas that you're involved with as well in other companies?
Yeah, we've had about a 30-year relationship with a company called Ramco out of New Jersey. They do more heavy industrial type equipment. They also do some passivation. It's been a really good relationship. We've really branched more into and niched into medical device and aerospace. And they have some applications for that specifically, but most often the precision type stuff is going to an ESMA, or we also get into vapor degreasing for some solvent applications where cleaning is very difficult on an aqueous end. The surface tension of water and of the solution, the soap solution, is still too high to wet really small med device parts.
Right.
So solvent cleaning is a good application for that. And so we get into vapor degreasing, and we work with Baron Blakesley on that end. They're out of Kentucky area, West Virginia. So, and then we have a lot of our own product private labeled for us. So you're not seeing an end manufacturer like you would in ESMA. We're growing more and more into our own brand of product. Most recently, we've come out, I think since I've seen you, we've come out with a complete chemical line for cleaning, passivation, vapor degreasing, electropolishing, so on and so forth. So
How was that born? That you ended up going down that route?
yeah, we've sold solvent vapor degreasing chemicals for many years, but 3M has announced an exit from their solvent business
Oh wow.
and their fluorinated product business. And there's still a huge need for it out in industry. It just can't evaporate because 3M is deciding to exit. So we strategically sourced from overseas in multiple supply chains
Wow.
solvents that will fit exact replacements for those products. So it's exciting for our customers that are using it semiconductor heavily, but also in medical device cleaning and aerospace. So those are specifically targeted for this 3M phase out. And in combination with that, then we came out with citric acid, various types of aqueous cleaning chemicals as well, and electropolishing electrolytes.
But let me throw a curveball a little bit at you, Mike. So you've told me a
Sure.
lot about how your partners have benefited from your involvement with best technology. What about the reverse? How have you benefited from them?
Yeah, we're a really close relationship, especially someone like ESMA. That automated system that you have was really developed in the early 2000s by myself and Paul Beeshold, the owner of ESMA.
Right.
My background's in medical device process development and validations. So that system itself was specifically designed for easy validation and repeatable processes. So by getting feedback from ESMA, for example, we went through some iterations on the valves that are on that system to properly vent correctly. They did a lot of testing with that and such, and used some of their vendors for testing. So we're always learning from their manufacturing techniques, things they come up with. They'll feed us and say, hey, do you see a market for this? Do you see a need? And we'll kind of tweak it one way or another and say, hey, this is a great offering that we're hearing from our customers that could be customized for that.
Fantastic. One of the things that we also talked about were some of the things to consider before entering into a strategic alliance, and we talked heavily about governance and transparency. Can you talk a little bit about how you manage these partnerships
Manage them as far as
at a governance level? I mean, how like roles and responsibilities, lines of communication. How do you make sure you don't step over each other?
Yeah, so the lineup that Best Technology offers really is complementary. I don't want conflicting or overlapping lines. I
Right.
really want where one product line ends, another one picks up so we can be all encompassing. But what we don't want is an application to come in and we're, offering two different styles of systems for a customer
Right.
and they're confused going, well, why this one and that one? It's like, well, why not one that's perfect for their system? So all of the different types of systems that we offer don't overlap. And I'm very specific with that when we look on a new strategic alliance with our vendors, that they don't feel threatened by something else that we've been selling for 20, 30 years, that they look at it as, wow, they've been offering this for 20, 30 years. They can bolt us onto this. This is fantastic. We can hit the ground running with their expertise in a specific area. That's something that we haven't sold before, and most likely an industry that our vendor hasn't built equipment for previously either.
That's
So
fantastic. So, Mike, that answer perfectly fits our discussion earlier because that was a big, heavy topic of how do you make sure you don't step over each other? You just clearly articulated. You draw a clear line of demarcation between you and your partner, and roles and responsibilities are clearly defined. Sales, what's being sold is clearly defined, and I think that's the key to a good partnership. We have the same with our partner next door at AdTech. We know what we're selling, and they know what they're selling, and then they offer our products and services, and we offer their products and services that we don't have, right? And they don't have. And
yep.
so those clear we document those, then we regularly on a monthly basis review our progress. I'm sure you guys do the same thing on a regular basis to review how we're progressing, how both partners are adding value. And it just sounds like exactly what we're doing with AdTech. So thanks for the
Yeah.
commentary.
Yeah. Yeah, that value add's really important. And you can have as much things documented as possible, which I think is great, but the relationship's really built on trust.
Yes.
So if we have an application come in and we're in the exploratory phase with someone like Veterans Metals, and initially we're leaning towards one piece of equipment and we work with that vendor on that, and then you have a different requirement that you come at us with, we may shift and offer a different piece of equipment. And we're very transparent with our vendors saying, hey, this went in a different direction, but also realize we have other projects that go in the other direction and come to you. So everyone trusts us that we're not trying to, cross sell something that against them or in a competitive nature. But the value add is really what's most important for our customer, is looking at it from that perspective. If the customer wins, frankly, I think everyone wins. Our vendors win, we win, and most importantly, that our customers can win, and then having relationships like your neighbors there that can further complement the value add that you guys have.
Well, I think the fact that you've been doing this, did you say 30 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a testament that it's working, right? And so the fact that you've got it nailed, how to handle the strategic alliance and partnerships, is a big benefit to everybody on this podcast to be listening to, especially those that are considering doing that. We took a leap of faith. We actually, entered AdTech is a competitor of ours because they do offer services that we offer, but we don't sell to their customers for their services that we have, and vice versa. We only offer what we don't do, and they do the same at their end. And it's transparency and trust. is definitely the number one thing.
Yep. And I look, when you say a competitive situation,
Yeah.
I look at things, especially in this industry. We've been in it for 30 years. We know all the players. We're friendly with them. And if we send someone to one of our competitors, it's on trust again. It's like, hey, we didn't have something to offer. We know what goes around will come around too. So I never look at anything as on a bad, when you say competitive, like on a bad end, I look at it as like, hey, how can we benefit each other even if we're offering semi-competitive product?
Yeah.
Not everyone does that.
No, not everyone does that.
No.
But it's very,
But
very
in
beneficial.
this market, we need to have these alliances, even if it's people in the same vertical as us, right? So, like I said, they offer metal finishing services, and so do we.
Right.
But our portfolio is a little different from theirs, but there's some that overlap. And the overlap part, we ensure very hard, and they do the same, of not trying to compete for that, and it works.
Right.
And it works great.
There's plenty of work to go around.
There is plenty of work to go around. Absolutely. I agree 100% with that. Well, Mike, thank you so much. It really added a lot of value to our topic in this podcast today. We appreciate it. For everybody watching, at the end, we'll also include the links to Best Technology. We'll also include some hashtags to their social media pages as well. Check them out. They have fabulous YouTube videos, which is the reason why we ended up selecting them, because they convinced me through their YouTube video that that's where we wanted to go. And folks, that was a year before we actually even bought the unit. We did that back in 2021, 2020, and it wasn't until 2022, 23 that we engaged Best Technology. They didn't know we were watching them from afar and said, hey, we want this. This is exactly the solution we're looking for. Great videos out there with all their solutions. Mike, thanks again. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you. And I appreciate the continued partnership with the Veterans Metals going in the future.
Care. Thanks.
Thank you. Take care now. Bye.
As always, we want to remind everybody, join your local RMA, your local manufacturing association. We're proud members of BAMA, the Bay Area Manufacturing Association, but they're all nationwide. We're also proud sponsor of Celebrate Birthdays at celebratebirthdays.org. They support foster children to make sure every foster child has a birthday. With that, we're going to finish up and wrap it up. And look at the list at the bottom. And don't forget to give us feedback and comments. Cheers. Cheers. Take care. Bye.